Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Melissa and this is my channel Geeky Witch about all things cross stitch in my life. Hello, hello. It is July 1st, 2023 and I have a quiet house, so I'm gonna get an episode in because this doesn't happen that often, especially lately. So if you haven't been watching my last two episodes, I have been going through the piles of WIPs that I have going. And I have a lot. I'm not quite as bad as some folks, but I'm roughly at the mid 50s mark, I think, with the number of pieces that I have going, excluding the Wensler and Legacy WIPs that are partially done, but they're ones I've adopted that I haven't stitched on personally. I don't count those. Those are in another bin. I'm not showing those today. But I have showed two bins so far, the two that you see right here. The one right next to it is a pile of hoops that are on top of other just random crap from around my office that I need to sort through. There's a lot of sorting that needs to go in here because this room has kind of been collecting everything. Anyway, today I'm going to show you, oops, I have a loose knob on one of my scroll frames. Today I'm going to show you the last bin of my WIPs. I will fully admit that there's probably one or two floating around the house somewhere or things that may have gotten moved out of a bin that I'm forgetting to show you. They'll come up in episodes as they come up, but you're going to see the bulk of it. Yeah. So, but thank you to those who've been leaving responses lately, and welcome to everybody who has subscribed in the last 2 weeks. It's been like, whoa, okay, there's a few people. I know WIP parades are popular. I promise you, I show stuff that I'm stitching every episode. Not like this. I don't want to do this all the time because this is a lot. And doesn't it get boring? I don't know. Well, maybe not. Anyway, so without further ado, let me show you the final batch of WIPs that I have going. My next episode will not be next weekend, even though I've been on a good weekly track record the last 3 weeks. I'm going to be away. So I'm going to try to get one in the following weekend during the Black Needle Society's Frogwarts Retreat. I'm going to be home. I'm going to be online virtually all weekend. But during a break from stitching, maybe I'll pop on and do a normal length episode of about a half hour or less. And if I don't do it that weekend, I definitely will do it the following weekend during the 24 hours of cross stitch marathon when I need a little break. So, all right, let's get going. So, starting on top here, I have my two color band samplers. These are both by iStitch Designs, and I do not have a final copy of this printed out, but you'll get the general idea of what these look like. Let me unscrew the, yeah. All right. So the way these work, this is iStitch Designs on Facebook, and she posts once a week starting in January for about 30 weeks or so, just a set of bands, a small set of bands, and over time it develops into a big long band sampler. Now this is denim band sampler, and you can do these of course in any color you want. The two that I've done, I'm trying to do in a color roughly according to what she's called for. So this is denim. I'm only on week 6. I am doing this on a regular 28 count band over 2. You can do any of her patterns over 1 or over 2. I decided I wanted these to be lazy stitching, so I'm doing them over 2 so they're super easy, because over 1, while I absolutely love how it looks, it can be a little challenging. So that is denim. And the Jade band sampler was from the year before, and this one, I have a lot more done. And yes, these guys are huge. Eventually, I'd like to turn them into either really long banners on my wall, or wrap them under like a hurricane glass on the mantle and kind of almost make them look like they're cross-stitched candles in a way. But for right now, these are just for the heck of it to see how big they get and how far they go. So this is the Jade band sampler. It's a lot longer. And I have showed this before, but not in a while. It keeps going and going and going. And there's the top. So, let me scroll back. So, this is the Jade band sampler so far. It's sitting at about a little over 3 feet long. How far do I have to scroll back to put the whole thing in frame? There we go. I'm about halfway done with this one. And I had hoped to get this one done this year. I may do that. It may become more of a focus piece of mine once I Love New England is done, because that's the big project that I really want to get done this year. So we'll put that there. I'll screw that back in later. Again, that one's also being done on very similar banding, 28 count over two threads. Nice and simple. Okay, next up is Celestial Dragon. And this is a Wentzler that I was working on. It's kind of quiet at the moment, but I am working on this with Abby Bella Stitch's Stitch Asia. And oh, there's a lot of cat hair on him. Okay. I adopted this piece, and I haven't put a ton of work on it. The head of the dragon and at least the outline here of this corner was not work by me, but I've done some of the work that's up here in this corner so far. Yes, Abby Bella Stitches has been running I think it's primarily in March, a focus on designers from Asian countries and Asian themed designs. So anything counts, even though this is a Teresa Wentzler, since it is a Chinese inspired dragon. Next up, we have, oh, I haven't started this yet. This is Alphabet in Stitches by Morning Glory Needleworks. Why haven't I started this yet? Why is it in this bin? Well, I'll show it anyway. So, this is by Dawn Fisher of Morning Glory Needleworks. I picked this up from her at a retreat several years ago, and it obviously is an alphabet with a bunch of stitches for said alphabet letters. Fully kitted up. Looks like I got it in 2000. Oh, that's right, because I was pregnant with my son. 2012. But yeah, I must have been thinking about starting it this year because I've got some basting lines getting going on this thing. All right, well, we'll see where that goes. Obviously not started yet. Oops. It's in the wrong bin. That's okay. There's always a few things in the wrong bins. Okay, next up is Jeanette Douglas's Love to Stitch box. This is this one. She has a number of patterns that go in these cute little boxes. I took this as a class at Celebration of Needlework in 2018, I believe, ish. Yeah, I think 2018. It's the second class I took with her. The first one was back in 2011 when I did 4 Seasons of Mystic. I finished that piece years ago, and it's on my wall in the other room. But this was, she teaches fantastic classes. If you ever have a chance, take a class with Jeanette Douglas. She's just very friendly and open and inviting, and she tries to make everything as non-intimidating I'm probably using that word wrong, as possible. So she just wants people to enjoy and relax and stitch. So this is the I Love to Stitch box, and I have the full kit. Let me not put stuff on my keyboard. I should learn that after the last 2 episodes. So this one came with the box to finish everything, and all of the materials that I need to finish the back of each individual little piece. And here is where mine is. My needle blender just fell. This is where mine is. So this is the main square here. I just am working on the border, and it took me a while to get these 2 corners in. I was putting them in the wrong spot. Ugh, I had to wind up. I was hoping to do those first so I didn't have to do the satin stitches here. But nope, satin stitches had to go in first because I just could not count to save my life. But that's where that one is, and it's all done as many of Jeanette's classes are, in silks and in wool and in all sorts of different materials that you don't always stitch on. Excuse me as I grab the needle minder that fell on the floor. Things that you don't always stitch on and cross stitch, stitch with. Really fun to learn different materials and different fibers and all that kind of stuff. So, okay. Next up is I Love New England. And this is my big project at the moment. So I wanted to put this into the fair this year. I'm not going to make the deadline. I would need to have this completely finished and framed by like the second week of August, and both time and some financial stuff can't do it. So this will go, my goal is for next year for the fair at this point. But I have all of the small words done in the center. I just have the really big words New England here to go. And then there's like a small cornucopia decorative bowl kind of a thingy here. And otherwise it's just border. So I'm in good shape. I just know how fast I stitch, and I know how I stitch. So I know, if I focused entirely on this, could I get it done by the end of July? Yeah, probably. But I know that that's just not how I do things. So, yay! But this is coming along. It's almost done, and it's going to look awesome when it's done. Definitely the piece that's closest to being done of all of my big WIPs right now. So, that one, let me get the finished photo out for you. Sorry about that. This is an out of print chart. It is from Sampler Needlework, which was a shop in Plymouth, Mass. That is no longer in existence. But that is what the final copy will look like when it's done. It's really, really pretty. And I saw the sample on the wall at the shop back in 2002, 2003, whenever I actually was there. And it was one of the ones I was like, oh my God, I need that like right now. And it was one of the first times I really had that experience where I'm like, I have to have that thing. And the irony is I didn't start the piece for years, but I had to have the chart. So that is that one. I'm getting really close. I did it anyway, and I paused stuff on my keyboard. I'm hopeless. Anyway. Okay. Ongoing. This is the piece that is actually the closest to being done. And my friend Ivana, if she is watching, is probably laughing because this has been going on for years. This is Apache Wedding Blessing by Cooler Design Studio. Do I even have the original photo anymore? I've had this thing going for, oh, I do. Haha. I've had this sucker going for so long that everything's disappearing. So this is Apache Wedding Blessing. The words on it are, now you will feel no rain, for each of you will be shelter for the other. Now you will feel no cold, for each of you will be warm for the other. Now there is no more loneliness. Now you are two persons, but there is only one life before you. May your days together be good and long upon the earth. So I started this for Ivana as a wedding gift. And at this point, it's going to be a 20th anniversary gift if I get my butt in gear and actually do the back stitching, which is all that needs to be done at this point. This is Apache Wedding Blessing. I've got some of the back stitching started, but not all of it, obviously. There's a lot, especially around each of those feathers. So 20th anniversary, here we come. But the stitching is done. So that might become the next finish to do after I get I Love New England done. But as much as I like Teresa Wensler's, I can only do back stitching in small bursts. So I did do a small burst on it this year, and I need to do more small bursts on it this year, but this is probably a next year finish, which would be very fitting because then I've got, I think, until 2025 to have it done and framed. So I'm going to start putting stuff on the floor because otherwise we're going to have a crash. Okay. Next up is Early Americans from Little House Needleworks. And this is a series of 9 charts. Let me pull them all out of the bag here. And make sure I have them. So these are a series of, and of course they're not in order or upright or anything because I've been working on them. This is Betsy Ross. There's Molly Pitcher. John Hancock, which I'm working on now. This is the center square, Freedom. Nathan Hale. Martha Washington. Paul Revere. Abigail Adams. And random pieces of paper that probably don't belong with this. Anyway, so you could obviously stitch them separately if you want, put them in a little basket or whatever, or make ornaments out of them. I decided to do mine as a 9-patch square because I've kind of liked that setup for little house projects. I think it looks really, really cute. And here is what it looks like so far. So I have Betsy Ross and Molly Pitcher done in the corners. And now working on John Hancock. I think one of the things I really like in particular about this piece, which when you think about history and American history, but really history in general, it's balanced between men and women in this piece, which I think is really, really cool and pretty rare. So that's what that looks like. I'm doing this on 40 count granite dust, I believe it's called. 40 count and it's this big. So those squares are a little bigger than you think they're going to be. And if you put them on 28 count, you're looking at a big piece because this This is a 1/4 yard. You know, your normal 1/4 yard cut. So, but I love the little house pieces that are all in those 9 patches. I don't know what it is. I just that setup for me, and you get like the little finishes inside a big finish, and yeah, it's just kind of cute to me. Oop. Zip up. There we go. Put you down there. Okay. Next up, we have Smoky Mountain Cats, and oh, good. I can put the. I found the like. So I work off of photocopies on a lot of my pieces, especially if I know there's a lot of back stitching to do or whatnot. So I keep the original for the back stitching and my working copy for the cross stitches, so I can highlight and mark where I am, because I, as you can see, work on a number of pieces at a time. So if I highlight, then I know where I've left off. I do not use Pattern Keeper. I am a bit of an old school stitcher in that regard. I like working off of paper. I like being able to get away from technology and away from the computer to go stitch. That's kind of one of my ways to disconnect and get offline, is to stitch. So I intentionally don't use Pattern Keeper. But I also am not someone who's working on like heaven and earth design projects where using Pattern Keeper honestly makes life much easier, from what I've heard. So I told that story to tell this one. So Smoky Mountain Cats is a very old Janlin design, and I sent this around on a round robin many years ago, where everybody in the round robin had their own piece, and we worked on them for like 6 weeks and then would send off to the next person, and everybody worked on everybody's WIP piece that needed a little extra love. But one of the things, of course, was that I didn't want my original pattern going missing in case, God forbid, anything happened. So I made the copies and put the original pattern away. And when I mean away, I hadn't seen it in years, and I just came across it like 2 weeks ago. So, so the original pattern, which is on gigantic paper. No, yeah, I didn't show you the piece. That would help. I just stumbled across it. It was in something that I never would have thought that it would be. So this is Smoky Mountain Cats as it currently stands. It feels like a tapestry, because it is. This is one of my oldest pieces. It is one of the few I have going on Ada. It's on 14 count Ada, and as you can see, it is solidly stitched. I still have probably about 10 rows up here and a decent amount still down here. I know there's a stain on the fabric right here, but that's going to get covered up by the time I stitch there, so I'm not worried about it. And I don't know if this is color fast because it's that old. So that's where that guy is. And I do work on this. I usually will, like 2 or 3 times a year, I will put in a row and go back and forth and put in a row. Because it's blue. It's very blue. You can start putting in the old Eiffel 65, I'm blue, abidi abidai song, and just kind of quietly stitch to that if you want to. But it's very blue. And that kind of blue gets a little boring after a while. Yeah. Okay. Next up is... Oh, yeah, this is another one that I haven't started yet. So this one is... I guess this bin, I had a mix of stuff. This is Glitter Village by Country Cottage. needleworks that I have fully kitted up. I don't have fabric in there though. So maybe I must have just put it in a project bag to make sure that I didn't lose them. But not started yet, so nothing to show you there. But I do have all the floss. Just needs fabric. So. Okay. Next up, we have Flying Lesson from Silver Creek Sampler. This is one I plan on having done by Halloween this year and should have absolutely no problem getting it done. This came in Black Needle Society Halloween box a couple of years ago, fully kitted. And I have been working on, ow, there's a needle in there. I should know better because there's always a needle in my pieces. That's what that looks like. So it's in good shape. I'm almost done with all of the black, and then I can continue with the lettering and whatnot and finish the broom. But this will not be that hard to get done by Halloween, especially it's on Ada. I mean, Ada is so easy for me to stitch on, especially when, you know, I'm used to working on 40 count. And it's just cute, but this is like the softest Ada you've ever seen. It's awesome. Okay, let's see what we got here. This is just a bag of all the colors that I keep for Blue Ribbon Design Christmas pieces. There's no project in there currently, but she uses the same color scheme, so I just keep them in there because eventually I'm going to stitch them all. Okay, this is one of the Make It Take It round robin pieces that I got at Celebration maybe 3 years ago. Oop, let me put that up there. This is called the I Love USA set. And it's by Manny Dudana. And it comes with all the stuff to finish it. And woohoo, I have a flag. And you finish the rest of it. But it's like a little pin cushion, and then your ruler and thread winder, and it's all got like a little pin, so you can almost keep it like a little chatelaine. Really cute. At Celebration Needlework in Nashua every May, they have one of the features of the program, and it's traditionally been Friday nights, but I haven't been in a couple of years. They will have 2 sets of 4 designers who will come in and just do like a brief 15-minute make it take it kind of a project. So itty bitty little projects just to keep you busy on the go, something that you can get a quick finish on. And I have a wide collection of those ready to go. Once this one gets done, then another one will go into my stash, and I'll just keep rotating through them so I have smalls going at any time, because I tend to have large projects going all the time, and I need more smaller pieces to mix in with that so I'm not overwhelmed with huge projects. Okay, next one is, this I got off of a freebie table at a retreat. I don't remember what retreat, but it was at a retreat. This is Lizzie Kate's ABCs of Parenting. And it came in a bag with the floss, but not a piece. So the piece is my own start. This is on 28 count Monaco. It's kind of a light yellow color. And here's where I am so far on it. I'm stitching a little too close up here to the border, but I think it's going to be fine once I get it all done. Really cute piece. And that one I'm just stitching in DMC. I kind of swapped a couple of the colors out that I didn't care for, because it's one of those ones that you can kind of do anything with. So, good for cleaning out stash projects. Okay, this is a little scissor fob by Casey. Well, it's Italian, and I'm gonna completely murder it. Buonarrotio Designs. This is from 2007. I do not have a finished picture, but you really don't need to worry about it because it's stitched. I just need to finish the back and put it together. So this will be a scissor fob. This is on deck to be finished this month during 24 hours of cross stitch. So I can have a little finish and clear out a bag. Be cute. I got that during a little getaway with a couple of the, well, not a couple of the girls, quite a few of the girls in my local cross-stitching group, the Stitching Sisters in New England. We went away to New Jersey when Needleworkers Delight still had their store. They've since moved and are kind of between locations right now. But we would go down and we would spend a weekend and we'd stitch at the store and hang out at a hotel and just have a nice weekend away together. And one of the girls would kit up projects for us for, you know, just like a memento of the trip. And this was that year's memento. Okay, not that many projects left. Let's see. This is just the project bag for the Jade band sampler, and this is for denim, so I can just move those to the floor because you've already seen them. All right. This is World Peace Angel. This is a piece that I adopted. This is by Lavender and Lace. This is the mother of Nora Roberts, who does Mirabilia, if you do not know the family connection. Anyway, I adopted this piece. I have put a little bit of work on it, so it's in the WIP bin. Although obviously by today, that isn't necessarily the case. There's not a whole heck of a lot done, but I did some of the over one stitching. Woohoo! That's where that stands. Not much going on there yet. That one's kind of been on a pause lately. There were some things going on in the Mirabilia group. Actually, that's one of the pieces you won't see today because I put it into my timeout bin. There were some things going on in one of the Mirabilia groups that I didn't really care for on Facebook, and it's kind of put me off stitching my Mirabilias, and that kind of goes along with Lavender and Lace. So this one's kind of quietly on a timeout too. It's stupid drama. It's like completely stupid drama. Not worth talking about other than to say I'm just kind of not feeling those pieces right now. Okay, moving on. We have Blackbird Designs, What Remains. Here we go. This was a 20th anniversary celebration piece for Traditional Stitches, store in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. But I think other places were able to get it as well. My son is running through the back of the house. And this one I had a little bit of a rough go getting the count going, but it's now moving. Question is, which direction am I? I don't know if I'm going upright or down, so I might have this sideways. But here we go. I think I'm okay though. I think I just started on the corner. I have this going on 40 count linen, and it's going slower than I expected it to for some reason. I don't know why. I'm kind of having a hard time getting started on that one. But like any other piece, eventually I'll hit a zone with it and it will move pretty fast. But I just need to get into a zone. This is, believe it or not, the first blackbird I've ever done. I don't know how I've done this many years of stitching, and this was the first blackbird I ever picked up. I have plenty in my stash. I just had never started any. Oh. All right, two more. This is my newest start. I started this a couple of weeks ago just for the heck of it because I needed a new start just to feel energized and was feeling frustrated with work and whatnot. This is Opening Gambit by Long Dog Samplers because I need another big piece, like I need a hole in the head. But yeah, we're starting it because screw it. So I put a vote up on Facebook because I couldn't decide between two colorways. Let me show you the colorways first. So the poll I took was, do you like this blue or do you like the funky purple? By a wide margin, the funky purple won. So the blue will find its way into another piece at some point, but it won't be this one. I don't have much on this. It's almost not worth showing, but she's like, there you go. It's a teeny, teeny, tiny start. But I literally just started it this past month, and it was just to say, I started something, because I just was having an itch, and it needed to go away. And it was bothering me. So I needed to make it go away so I could focus on the stitching I actually needed to get done that night. Alright, so that is Opening Gambit. And that then fulfills my, I can't work on any other long dogs till one gets done because I have Pandemic going as well. I showed that, I believe, in the first episode of this thing. All right, and the final one is actually a mini part piece and one of my older WIPs. I don't have a final I can show you of all of the pieces, but I do have a couple of them done so you can get an idea of what's going on. Let me move this for a sec so I can. These are the Elemental Dragons by Dragon Dreams, and I started these ages and ago. I have two done, right? Yeah, I have two done. Okay, so the first one I got done. This is Fire, and on a very old piece of silk weaver. And yes, that is 2005. You see that date down there. I've kind of been putzing on these. I lost interest in these for a little while, and they just kind of went to sleep for a bit. Next one I did was Spirit. This is in 2010. And these also, I was doing these on the train. The next one I'm doing is Earth, and I think it's probably slow partially because of the brown. I'm not a big brown stitcher. So that's Earth. And then I do have I'll show you the colors of the fabrics. Here is Water, which makes sense, right? And these are old silk weavers. I kitted all of this when I first kitted Fire. So these guys have all been kitted for almost 20 years. Maybe I should shoot to get these done for the 20th anniversary. Anyway, this is, come on. It's so old that the plastic is stuck together and I can't get the fabric out of the plastic. Yeah, that's great. All right. The plastic is like stuck together. There we go. and this is air. So those are my pieces for the elemental dragons. As of right now, I have no idea how they will be finished. Probably in like where they're all framed together, like either sideways or up and down, but you know, like shadow boxed. That's kind of the idea I was going for. These were free patterns, but I don't know if they still are on Dragon Dream's website, but you can always check. And they're all obviously pretty small. But yeah, that is my big gigantic pile of WIPs. That's all of them that I can think of. And that has emptied the final basket. So thanks again for joining me on this crazy journey. My next episode, I'm going to show you how I organize my stitching planner so you can see some of the detail in there. And also just stuff I've been working on recently rather than the big slew of all of this. So until then, have a safe weekend, a great holiday weekend if you are celebrating in one of the countries that is celebrating, and I will see you soon. Take care, all. Bye.